Mood Talk, Mood TV, man. What's the mood? Today we got our boy Cyrus L, got Dre. That's when they want. And today we have a special topic. This is one I wanted to talk about for a little while, and it's generational wealth. Now, it's a couple ways we could break this up, but I want to talk about like the generational wealth gap between us and the people in power, the people with the most money, and people with the most money are, you guys know, the white folk. They got most of the money. So how do we close that gap? So one of y'all want to start off on how y'all think we could close that gap?
You go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna take it from this angle. I think we should close that gap by receiving the same subsidies and returning what was ours to begin with. All right, so I read this book, right? It's called How White Folks Got So Rich.
Great book.
Great book. And in that book, it details all the ways that they tricked us either out of land, out of our homes, deeds,
Our inventions.
our stocks, for instance, right? There's this thing, it's called the Head Rights Act. And basically, any European that traveled here from Europe, once they arrived here, they would receive like 60 acres of land.
For like $100 or some shit. It was some cheap ass.
There was another act called the Dawes Act that they basically took all the land from the melanated people here, call them Indians, Native Americans, Olmecs, Indigenous, whatever you want to call them, and they said, well, you can have your land back, but if you want your land, you have to change your last name to an English sounding name. So then they only gave them a piece of their land back. Let's say I took 100 acres from my man here, I'm going to give him back 2 acres, and he changed his last name from what it was to Scott. But remember, hundreds of Scots came from Europe, so now their name is on the Dawes Act too. So now they have the land that was supposed to be for his family, and then he gets thrown to the wayside. And then when he comes to the government, he's like, hey, I'm a Scot. He's like, you don't look like this. This is a European. You're not even of this. There's so many other ways that they've done that. For instance, the housing gap, right? So when a lot of our soldiers, because when they fought these wars, it wasn't just Europeans going to war. There was hella melanated people that went to war too. When they came back, they had all the European soldiers what they call a GI Bill, and basically they used those GI Bills to buy homes, and they barred melanated people from having the GI Bills. Then there's something called subsidies. Subsidies just means a government grant. They gave hella subsidies to these soldiers and farmers and just Europeans, free government money so that they can go buy homes. Now you have, everyone's has, they're middle class right now, but you got to think about it. Over time, all those properties, all that money, all that appreciation over time, it's building generational wealth. And the melanated people, they're being still attacked, they're still being, molested, infringed upon, like the disenfranchised, all those words that you want to put where they're just being destabilized. But the European is being stabilized by KKK, by the government, by media, by all of this stuff. So it's like, not only do they have generational wealth, but they have generational closure and reassurance that like they believe, even if it's a false sense of security, that they're straight. And remember, the mind is powerful. So if you believe you're the shit, then you're gonna act as it. And now they have these backings that actually reinforce a false narrative. Because if you think about it, everything that you got from us. So do you have generational wealth or do you have stolen wealth?
And how do you feel? You mostly spoke about how they acquired their generational wealth. But in 2021 and moving forward, how do you feel us as men of original descent could close that gap? Like, what do we do starting now to move forward?
Just to say one thing, he already touched on everything pretty much. Like, I personally feel that there is no closing that gap unless it is given back. Like, something is given back, something is resolved. Like, yo, this is what happened that was wrong, here it is. And I'm sorry to be that guy in the group right now, but I don't think that's ever gonna happen. So I don't think there's ever gonna be a generational closing in the.
I want to know, why do you think that's not gonna? Okay,
I'm about to get into that. I don't think there will ever be that because of everything that's against us. Like this man just said, the mind is very powerful, and most of our people believe that we are all still slaves. Literally, you still mentally believe that you are a slave, like literally, because you feel like that's where you came from. That's all you've seen your whole life. That's all you've seen is you just feel bad your whole, like the whole time we were talking about this. I'm not even gonna hold you. I was sitting here feeling so sad because I'm like, dang, why do I have to know all this, and my other fellow brother got to sit there and
Exactly.
and
Think that he's
literally
a slave.
and literally die slowly. My people will perish for a lack of knowledge, and it's crazy. My boy literally touched on everything, but just to get a little deeper on it, I feel like it'll never happen in a sense of if you have broken so many people and over so much time. You just said generational. That takes one generation just to get back good. And then you double broke them. So you ain't break them in like a sense of, yo, I physically fucking fucked you up. I'm sorry to be so curseful. This is how passionate I feel about it. But you have not broken these people down to a sense of just physical. You have broken them down to a mental. And then maybe even a step farther, as a 50% of them, thankful that we're in the times that people can actually research stuff and think for themselves, but 50% of them are spiritually broken. So shit. So you telling me that we in a generational curse, and that take me one generation to get back. A generation is, I'll say maybe 20 years, or just to be on the low end.
15 to 20 years.
That's to be on the low end, but a real generation, I'm gonna tell you, real generation probably about 80 years in my sense. Like me. A real generation is about maybe 50 years, okay? But we're gonna say 20. I'm gonna say 25. So you're gonna tell me it's gonna take me 25, 50, and then maybe another extra 15. All right, so when I'm older, so hopefully my grandkids. So, okay, all right, that sounds good. That sounds okay, but that's why I say that it won't happen, at least in our time, in our lifetime.
But
Hopefully my grandkids will get to see it, but we can also go back to what goes around comes around. Because, I'm not going to get too deep, but one group of people had some people enslaved. They took over. Oh, now they have them enslaved. Now, what time are we in right now? I mean, I'm not saying that, I don't want to get into a whole conspiracy theory. I want to hit on most of the facts and everything that really matters here, but I don't think that's going to happen in our time. Me and you, all of us are good. Yeah, we're going to achieve, and follow, like, subscribe, and we'll share the knowledge with you as well. But we're gonna achieve. That's on mood. So we're gonna achieve. But I'm sorry for the ones that are lost, because this is a very, very, very confusing world and a loose time right now. It's a loose timeline, like, so. I don't know why I put it like that, but it's
my opinion on it is basically I do believe it'll change, and here's my reason why I feel like it'll change. And I agree with Dre. It may not happen in our lifetime, but with us being the original people of this planet, us being men of original descent, us being, melanated people. I saw a video a couple days ago. It was a kid. He basically talked about how the realm or time space that we're entering is a time space, like you realize, I don't know if y'all realize, but how many woke melanated people there are today. It's not a coincidence, and it's not because of internet. That's not the reason. It's not just because we're all on the internet searching things up. It's almost like what they call Akashic records. When you just get a download of information, you just get power from other beings, or you get power and knowledge from other beings. So I feel like it may not happen in our lifetime, but it's almost inevitable that the people in power, they only can live so long, and their kids can only live so long. And like what we was talking about off camera, Dre was speaking on basically like how we all originally, like we mix in some way. Like in some way we're getting mixed down the line. That guy who owns or runs the world, he's gonna have a daughter that's gonna figure out that black people aren't that bad, and she's gonna have sex with him, may have a baby, and that's gonna fuck up their timeline. It's gonna fuck up everything. It's gonna fuck up how they think. It's gonna fuck up how that baby lives his life. It's gonna mess up a lot of things, and then it may even mess up who's at the top in structure. And that's another thing I was gonna say. For us to change, we have to change the structure of what's going on. If the Constitution don't change, nothing will change in this country. If we don't change in powers of who's at the top in this country, nothing will change. Another solution to that, if we can't fix what's in this country, we need to leave. Like, we talk about real shit.
Go
There's a whole country called Africa who has way more black people than there is
But
here.
that's what they
And-
want us to do. They want us to leave.
But
our
I'm saying
shit.
though, I'm just saying as an option, that would be an option that we don't even think about. A lot of people don't think, what if 30 million black people just got up today and said, fuck it, I'm moving to Africa. We're going to start our own village. We're going to start our own companies. We're going to, bro, you know what that would do to America? We would strip a lot of their wealth, a lot of the shit that's going on here. So it's all about, like you were saying, the mental mind state of people today. Once we, like I said in another video, it's like when we have a cover and then like if we're all in the room, we have a cover and then now 2021 is like we're all just like me, you, and Drake, just all like, and everybody else is still having the cover.
Yeah.
When they all do this too, bro, the person in the room who was all watching us is gonna be like, scared as shit
You know
because
how
they're
they
gonna be
distract us,
outnumbered, huh?
Money.
What you mean?
They distract us with money.
100%. They distract us with everything. They distract us.
But
with
before you get into that, I just wanted to say how you're talking about you getting a download, and it's not a coincidence. So not only that, but people want to know. Like people want to know. Like this is like they want to know. You feel me? I want to know what is going on or what happened, or just in a sense they just want to know. Like knowing, because we're in a time of knowing as well. So
The age of Aquarius.
yeah. So
They know. They
And
information.
if y'all do know or don't know, the world's richest man ever was named Mansa Musa. He was a black melanated man. Mansa Musa, when he was the richest man alive, he literally ran the world.
Yeah.
He literally ran the whole gold slave trade. He ran all that shit.
he literally made gold go down in price.
Literally.
Because he broke the scale.
Yep.
But
So that time, I feel like that time will return. There will be a time where we return to basically, and it may not be our lifetime, it may not be our kids' kids, but in a certain timeline,
oh yeah.
there will be black people reigning the earth again.
I mean, just to say two things really quick. The first thing is, with how genetics is going, I think they already predicted that everybody's supposed to be a certain light color by a certain year or whatever. And then also,
Depends though.
what do you mean?
If you never break your cycle,
Oh yeah.
you will never be less pigment.
And
have
that's
less melanin.
And that's another subject because that's key to all these groups like Cyrus talked about, KKKs, Aryans. Their literal goal
Is to keep it strong.
is to keep their
Bloodline.
yes,
Yeah,
is to
literally.
keep their bloodline flowing. So and that's their goal. That they'll never say that. But if you get to the root of it, why do you think that they always come up with this is the most ultimate race or whatever? This is like this is
It's
the
reverse
top thing.
psychology though.
Reverse psychology
Yeah.
because they make you. It's just over and over. But another thing is, y'all should definitely research all the things that he was saying because it's really true. It's really true. It's really like that. So, that's the mood talk to you.
Oh, hold on. Before we close out, I got some closing statements. One thing that bro said, he said that slave, right? The average melanated person thinks that they came from slavery, so they would never even think that they had generational wealth to begin with. And something about Europeans, even though, because what he said, they'd have to give it back. This is what's going on right now. What do you think them stimulus checks were? Like, they're giving you a little bit of the scraps. They're giving you the scraps. They're giving you the scraps. But the scraps ain't shit.
Can I say one thing to that?
That ain't no fucking scraps. That would be literal air that they're
but
giving us because they're printing that shit.
but y'all not even thinking about it on the level of, like you said, bro, people have been oppressed for so long or whatever, right? But at the same time, the people who started to get help, we never became a group, a part of that group. The people who were getting help.
Never.
And you know what's even funnier? Like a lot of people are brainwashed so badly by Barack Obama, for example, but they don't even know that the community that he helped the most when he was in power was not the black community. Let's not even get that far because we don't want to say it, but it was not us. You feel me? So what I'm trying to say is that we keep on getting oppressed. Like they keep on stepping down no matter what, and at the same time they give handouts to everybody else. So you think we think that it's a generational curse, but really it's a century curse.
It's a centralized, systematic curse.
It's
Yes.
a century.
Facts.
Rewind it if you need to, like some comments, probably. You know.
Hold on, I got a few more.
I'm not done.
All right,
It's literally a cycle. Like, you feel me? So at the same time, bro. Like, you know.
So Barry really didn't help us, bro?
He helped you? I mean, he helped. All right, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because my grandmother always speaks well. You know, my mom, everybody. Obviously, everyone in y'all family
Barack
too.
Obama, I was just being like.
Everyone in y'all family already do too. So the healthcare, he did his thing for every American. Good shit, my boy. Good shit for every American. That's all I gotta say. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he was a good, you know, what he had to do, but for every American, and that's it.
All right, so I want to talk about real quick. This is what I think. If we were going to bridge the wealth gap, it would have to be in technology. Because I feel like technology is what's getting like the most funding, and like that's where most of the money is at, Silicon, right? But just like in our last video, we spoke about technology regulation. Like, they're not teaching us code in school, because if we could all make Instagrams, fly-ass websites, fly-ass video games, then that would take the power out of their hands and put it back into people's hands. We'd be able to make our own metaverses, everything. Ben, we would have did all that. Yeah. And with the technology regulation, it's also technology control. He said they can only live for so long, and they know that. That's why they're so big on AI. Because Neuralinks, because it's all about ideology, the way you think. And he said they're trying to preserve a bloodline. If it's not a bloodline no more, and it's a circuit line or it's a conscious line, they're still gonna want to be here. Like, I don't care. Like, if you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, right? Dr. Gero hated the Saiyans so much that he implanted his consciousness in a computer that would build robots in the future to fight the Saiyans in the future. So then Dr. Gero wasn't even alive no more, but his vision and his agenda was still taking place. That's the same thing with the European. Like, they can only live for so long, but their vision and their agenda is still gonna be taking place. They're still gonna wanna see us infighting. Still light skin versus dark skin. Still hating on someone because he's flashier than you or shining more than you. Like, the slave owners back in the day who are on these paper bills, they're laughing in their grave because they still see that their vision is still taking place. It's still going to this day. To this day, it's still running its course. That's generational wealth, because I have you under this way of thinking, and I'm not even here anymore. That's power. That's power beyond the grave. And last thing I'm gonna say, energy is information. So light is information. Every day the sun comes over like a newsletter, it feeds the world information. So my friend, my homeboy, or just somebody I know, you go look up his channel, it's called Soul Warrior. He says true reparations is Ruach HaKodesh, which is basically like gamma radiation. It's something that comes from the cosmos. Nature will give you your true reparations. What's awakening us is something that's coming from nature. Them downloads is coming from nature. Nature will be your true reparations. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it at that. Y'all boys close out have you on.
I wanted to close off on basically saying, I feel what you were saying with that, but I feel like I agree with that 100%. But I feel like we all also need to take some accountability.
Of course, go ahead.
Because like, if you really think about it, bro, the way that we like operate as a whole people is we don't got shit on the other races. Like how together they are. Like, I'm gonna just use some examples. Mexicans, they don't give a fuck what type Mexican. When I see you, I know you. You my brother. Like, we gonna eat together. When they eat lunch, they all spread their food out. They all eat together. White people, they don't know you from $2 a can paint. They don't know you, nigga. When you pull up to their house, hey, I saw somebody down. Yeah, let's go get them. Like, they just with it. Like, Asians, you see another Asian, they probably all live in the same town, same building, same business. They all working their money together, and that's real. Like, I had watched the Killer Mike documentary, and he showed how long the black dollar stayed in the community. Like, it's bad, bro. We don't spend our money with each other, and we don't save our money. So we gotta take some responsibility too. Like, we gotta say, hey, let's at least, even if we can't close it, we could at least shorten it a little bit.
And
like
work towards it.
Yeah, like we could do something to help the progress towards being closer to where we need to be. But
I think you hit it right on the nose when you said that we ain't together. And now when you look at every other community, that's the complete difference that you see. We ain't together. And they always use this reference as like a crab in a bucket. You get me? Like it's a crab in a bucket with a whole bunch of other crabs in it. If one crab try to crawl out, everybody pulling them down instead of, you know, and even the crabs that do get out, they don't throw nothing back or throw it over. It's a lot of different analogies that we can hit it like that, but
what it is we don't have culture anymore. And
Exactly.
just to Sam's point, if we aren't together, the question is, were we ever together, and what pulled us away if we aren't together?
let me ask a better question. Oh, not a better, but let me ask another question. So if we ain't together right now, are we gonna come together, and two questions. Are we gonna come together, and when will we come together? Because to break any curse that we're talking about here, or whatever it is, obviously the number one thing to do as a community, you just said it in a sense, the Black Dollar stays in the community for maybe, I'm just gonna guess, maybe a week, I don't know. But if you compare it to any other community, that dollar circulates probably a year. Like literally, it's, you know. So, and I know a lot of people will blame it on, be like, oh nah, they shit too expensive, this and that. But I mean, you know, like you said, we gotta come together as a people. But when, how, who, like, and that's why I say what I say about. It's gonna be when my grandkids, or maybe if hopefully my kids will get to see it, but we gonna work hard and we gonna get there, that's for sure.
So we gotta build communities. We don't really have communities, we just have us in pockets around other people's communities.
And you know what? On this channel here, that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna uplift people, we're gonna share the culture, we're gonna educate, and we're gonna just give awareness, you know, and literally just provide, you know, some mentality of freedom, because that's literally my mood. So
mood is unity. Man of original descent, mood is unity. That's what we're trying to, that's what it is.
So like I said, look up all that stuff. I'm telling you, it's real deal. Really do your research. The internet is a thing today, so do your research. And you know, sponsored by Mood, sponsored by Free, sponsored by S1N.
You already know.
Different nations, same relation to that cosmic juice. We the cosmic proof.